Okay, so today we will be looking at the SpongeBob Essential Guide. Very interesting book, and we'll get to learn hopefully at least one thing about our favorite sponge here. This is more of a chill archive video where I'm just going to be showing you an item in the collection that I've been looking at and kind of go through with you guys together and talk about it. It is from 2005. But one thing I noticed is that most of the stuff within the book is all contained like kind of within the first 2 seasons, really. There are maybe a couple things that happen a little bit, later down the line that are referenced, but for the most part, everything is in the first 2 seasons. So it's interesting as a SpongeBob fan, 25 plus years at this point later, seeing what at this point was the essential guides. This is everything you needed to know about SpongeBob to get into the show. So you have the OG logo right there. You have all the characters, not all of them, but I mean a good amount of the characters kind of featured here with their names as well, which I think is really cool. I love this image of Gary here with his shoes from the shoe tying episode. I think it's supposed to reference, even though I don't know if those are the exact same shoes he wears in that episode. We have Patrick there with the secret box, Sandy doing a little bit of surfing here, and Squidward looking cool as ever. And then let's go ahead and pop it open. You have this really cool image, this whole like backdrop here that is like, I guess you would say like, it reminds me kind of like the title cards. You could like very easily see, like some kind of episode title being placed there. But let's go ahead and read the little section here on the side of the slipcover. It says, drop anchors in Bikini Bottom, open up the hatches, and get carried away on a tide of nautical nonsense. Featuring colorful character artwork, this absorbing essential guide is a treasure chest of saltwater silliness. You'll laugh so hard, you'll get the bins. I don't really know what the bins are. I guess it's like, you're laughing so hard that you're leaning forward and making your stomach bend. I didn't really get that. We got SpongeBob here with the Krabby Patty, and it looks like what he's using for bait is actually pickles and tomatoes that you can see on his hat there. So I suppose that's the bait that you'd use to catch a Krabby Patty. Really interesting book. Like I said, there's a lot of really weird style guide images they use and some references that I think are just interesting. So first page here we have the Essential Guide written by David Lumen, and I would love to say that I think that David Lumen was not given the liberty to like write all the facts that he knows, because if you guys don't know David Lumen, he writes an unbelievable amount of SpongeBob books. So like I would say like every SpongeBob novel you see, essentially, there's like 30% of them are probably David Lumen, which doesn't sound like that much, but it really is. Like it's almost half of what you pick up he's written, it feels like. So I'm sure he knows way more about SpongeBob than what this book showcases. But then we get into the first page here, and this is such a fun page. You've got the bubbles here, all the characters. That is a strong bubble. It's got his bubble wand, Patrick, on here. Plankton trapped inside the bubble, and then it's all kind of floating up in the, the Bikini Bottom Sea there. And then you've got the SpongeBob Essential Guide here. You could tell by this logo, this is 2005-ish because of the fact that the Nickelodeon is kind of like back here as a splat. And some of the earlier stuff, the 2000s, it was the Jellyfish logo that you see typically. So this is 2005 era for sure. And then flipping the pages here, first page of like, I guess, not the first page. The first page is, we're still not there yet. This is the table of contents. And really, really cool shot here of Conch Street. Like just that in itself, I think would lend itself to a really cool like poster design. You can tell that it's early season again by the buildings itself. You can kind of see they're kind of like paint stroke, because this is back in the days when they really did everything by hand. And a lot of the buildings nowadays look a lot more crisp than that. But one thing that's kind of cool is over here you will see a 6-leafed flower cloud, which is, I would say, not only incredibly rare, but I don't know if that's even appeared like in any episode. I can't recall ever seeing a 6-leaf flower, but it does appear here in the book. So there's the little table of contents to kind of get an idea of like what characters who we'll be seeing in this book. Taking a little further look here, we got the SpongeBob page. It's like this whole page is just so nostalgic because all of these style guide images they use in so many different products. And being a SpongeBob collector, I can run around the room and find so many different things using these images here. But it talks about SpongeBob there. It's got like the Bubble Buddy episode here. It kind of features for a moment. But down here, I love that they give you little SpongeBob facts. It says Sponge facts. They're not really SpongeBob facts. Most of the stuff about SpongeBob is just kind of stuff that all sponges can do. It says if SpongeBob's arm falls off, he can grow a new one, which I guess he's the only sponge that has arms, right? So that's true, but also a sea sponge could do that too. It's pretty much invincible, essentially. We have SpongeBob can tear himself in half and grow back together, which is kind of the same thing as that. He's got regenerative growth powers. We have holes keep SpongeBob buoyant and light on his feet. Like, I feel like that's just something you could kind of pick up on from just looking at him. Like, there's not a lot of deep facts, but it's the essential guide, just to kind of get you. I feel like they could have gone a little deeper, but it is the essential guide 2005. But this one here, it says there are about 5,000 species of sponges in the sea. SpongeBob can grow back body parts that fall off. They really want you to know about that regrowth power he's got there, because that's mentioned 3 times in the SpongeBob page. It's got his catchphrase, "I'm ready," which also is something he doesn't say that much now. On Patrick's page here, we've got one of my least favorite episodes, just because Patrick is such a brat in this episode. We have Patrick here getting freaked out at Valentine's Day with the "I defy you" heart man. And then let's see over here, we have another starfish fact. Starfish have hollow arms and breathe through their skin. They belong to a family known as Encinoderms. I have no clue how to even say that, but very, very cool. Patrick's favorite hobbies include sleeping and also laying dormant. Most of the time, Patrick can be found watching TV and sleeping, but doesn't mean that he doesn't move fast. Because it says when he's frightened or excited, he can move, or excited about ice cream, he can get moving, which is true. He is very fast when he wants to be, but overall, when he's not motivated, he is very slow, which I get that, Patrick. And then we've got Squidward's page here. Squidward is an octopus fact here. I do love that they did call him an octopus. So despite his name being Squidward, he is an octopus. So it's cool that they actually did, keep that accurate a little bit. But let's see here. So Squidward, the smallest octopus, grows 2 feet in inches long, but the biggest can grow up to 18 feet long. Man, that is actually pretty terrifying. Squidward's rubbery arms can throw snowballs faster than a pitching machine. So there's a lot of these, like I said, the references are the facts about them. Well, this one's actually kind of different. Squidward's droopy nose is one of the biggest in Bikini Bottom. I would debate Pearl maybe has a bigger one, but I guess it says one of the biggest, right? Please tell me this isn't a joke. And then it's got little facts about him playing his clarinet. I guess it does kind of cover the characters well enough. If you didn't really know anything, you would have some information. Now, this page is really interesting because you have the Bikini Bottom Map here. And it's crazy that there's so little representation of a lot of the locations in Bikini Bottom. And one of my dreams is for them to release a real Bikini Bottom map. I suppose they just don't do that because of the fact that, it always changes and they don't want everything to be so concrete in the show, because then, it limits what they can do. But it's just interesting to me that they have, freaking the Krusty Krab. This video is in one take. I'm going to start doing these ones here, so that way, I can at least keep the upload schedule going. Some stuff that I want to talk about and stuff that I think is just fun. Just kind of stuff that I do in my off time here, just kind of geeking out, looking at books and different collectibles and just talking with you guys, almost like podcast style, if you will. But the Krusty Krab here, I just feel like generally he walks by Patrick's house majority of the time to get to the Krusty Krab. So it's an interesting place to put the Krusty Krab. And not just that, we've seen the whole travel from him, you know, for him getting from his house to the Krusty Krab many times, and we don't see the Shady Shoals or especially the Fry Cook Museum. Like, I could let the Shady Shoals slide. I could even let them putting the Krusty Krab over here slide. But why is there representation of a place that was literally in like one episode taking such a like epicenter here in the map? Like, there's so many other locations that they could have showed us rather than this one. But the Fry Cook Museum is apparently right next to, like, spitting distance from SpongeBob's house. And then over here we've got Sandy's house. And somehow SpongeBob, being this close to her, never knew this house popped up before he had seen her in that first episode. Because that's, again, so accurate. And then we have the SpongeBob's grandma's house, which, again, you can see the whole outward area of her grandma's house, and there is no tree dome to be found. So it's wildly inaccurate, but it's at least just to give you something, I guess, to work with. I think the most accurate thing is Mrs. Puff's house being this close to Mr. Krabs' house. I do believe that's kind of connective a little bit. But yeah, just an interesting look though. But it's cool because you get to see all the places we're probably going to explore in this book. Now this is, you know, whether it's accurate or not, this is beautiful. I love this page here. You get this like cross cut of SpongeBob's house, and you can't really say it's wrong, I guess, because it's like you have these stairs here. Usually, I feel like these stairs go down to like here, right? But apparently, his library is in the middle of his house here. I mean, I'm going based off of like Battle for Bikini Bottom. The library is like underneath his house in that game. So, but just for what it is, the fact that it documents like his whole house here, you have his little treasure chest here. It talks about how like all of his clothes are pretty much identical. It talks about his library though. I love the little slide in his library. And it says, SpongeBob's library contains books such as Moby Dick, which is unchanged. That's just the book itself because it's about the ocean. The Codfather, and The Beach, and Silence of the Clams, which is a very interesting reference to a movie about cannibals within this SpongeBob book. But you know, nonetheless, it does say Pineapple Leaves Hide Rooftop Terrace. I think that is a really cool inclusion that they didn't have to add, you know, just to, you know, to show that that is a thing. And yeah, I mean, I like the inflatable sofa too. I actually never saw that as like being an inflatable couch, but I guess it is. It's kind of like a raft style one. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It talks about the nematodes episode here and about how his house could be regrown if eaten by, you know, pesky sea nematodes. Very referential to that particular episode again. Then next up here, we have got the Eugene Krabs page here. And it does feature Pearl, which I think is a good, you know, she doesn't have her own page, so being on Mr. Krabs makes sense. The only thing Mr. Krabs loves more than money is his teenage daughter, Pearl, which that is true. I mean, we've seen Mr. Krabs do some unbelievably generous things, such as handing Pearl his credit card to go to the mall. Well, he handed it to SpongeBob, which was already, like, rip. But we've seen him do some incredibly generous things just for Pearl, like letting her take over the entire restaurant, which I think is something I love about Mr. Krabs' character is despite, you know, how greedy he is, although that is a negative attribute of Mr. Krabs, I do think that it shows you, it uses something negative about him to show you how much love he really does have for his family, including, you know, especially Pearl, being that, you know, we've seen him literally pay Squidward apparently a nickel a day, and he is also willing to let his daughter completely order all these things and essentially ruin his business in order just to keep her happy. So it does show, using his negative attribute, how much he loves his family. Over here we have a little reference to the iconic meeting here between Mr. Krabs and Robo Krabs here. That one is really cool with the coin-operated self-destruct machine. Insert. And then over here it also talks about how Mr. Krabs was once a chef on the SS Diarrhea. So I think that it's cool. You know, that's only some of the little bit of lore. We do know that Mr. Krabs works in the Navy. So that is a little bit of we've never actually seen the Bikini Bottom Navy though. We've seen like his retirement friends, but I would love to see like the active Bikini Bottom Navy. But although they did get taken over by robots, apparently. There are over 6,000 species of crabs. When they hatch, they are tiny and transparent. That sounds super cute, actually. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Mr. Krabs' page here. And then we have the Krusty Krab, and we get the image of that real life Krabby Patty there, which, my goodness, does that burger look just so picture perfect. I mean, that top bun is massive though. But what do you guys think? Do you think it looks like a good burger? Like, would you eat that, or does it look a little bit too thick, like too much bread, too much tomato? I don't know. I think it looks pretty solid though. It definitely is photo worthy. But it talks about this one. It's got the sit-shaped seat. Says big windows kept sparkling clean by SpongeBob. Lets customers see right into the spotless interior. Diners enjoy comfortable seating, convenient tables. They can eat and enjoy Mr. Krabs' famous hospitality. No free napkins. That's his friggin' hospitality, is no free napkins and an upcharge for ketchup. Beautiful exterior of the Krusty Krab restaurant. Resembles a new. That's really cool because that's actually something that's only I feel like in the 2010s people started picking up on, is that the Krusty Krab resembles a New England lobster trap. Maybe that's why Squidward feels so trapped at work. That's a really cool little connection there that I feel like they didn't, like, everything else was pretty baseline, so it's cool that they actually added that. And then we have SpongeBob and Squidward work as a team. SpongeBob chops the ingredients, fries, patties, puts the orders together, scrubs the kitchen, counts the sesame seeds, takes out the garbage, cleans the bathroom, mops the dining area, scrapes gum off the bottom of the table, and Squidward takes the orders. SpongeBob, basically, without SpongeBob, this whole freaking establishment would freaking go under. And Mr. Krabs counts the money. That's their job. Mr. Krabs counts the money, Squidward takes the orders, SpongeBob does everything else, literally. Unbelievable. Actually, also what's really interesting here is this random side, like this little area here. It almost looks like there's a outward like drive-through, or yeah, it almost looks like a drive-through window, which does not exist in the actual restaurant and only in this like render here for the Krusty Krab. I don't really know why that's here. And you'll often see this in the books. Like, I don't know where they get these shots from, but I assume they didn't make this for the book. This is just a shot from the show. But at what point did it have this random window here? I don't know. It looks like maybe this is where you get your not free napkins and your utensils, but interesting little thing there. We got Sandy here, Sandy Cheeks, her little page as well. Talks about her Sandy's adventures. Says at Sandy's adventures, she explores more places than just Bikini Bottom. In fact, she still keeps a rocket handy for occasional trips to the moon, which is one of the best episodes. I mean, getting to like just, you know, even though it's like if I'm leaving the sea, the only place I want to go is to space, to be able to see, you know, an even cooler environment, or just as cool environment comparatively to just the regular IRL areas they go to. Deep in my heart, I'll always be your Texas girl. Just referencing her song, of course. Not only because of her accent, she's from the Lone Star State. Not only because of her accent, expression she used, I'm hotter than a hickory smoked sausage, but she's always proud to tell people where she's from. That is true. That's really cool. This is Sandy's normal size. She becomes larger when she's hibernating. So yeah, another reference to an episode. I kind of would love, like I said, to see more stuff that's not something that you would get from just watching the show, which we will cover a book soon though that does have information like that you wouldn't get, you know, necessarily from just a book like that, or you know, from this book you wouldn't get from the show. Let's see here. So you have Sandy's tree dome here. You know, talks about her exercising there, her and her wheel. You got the winter shutdown, which, man, like, I would love to see like a secondary episode to this. I guess we kind of get the gist of what was supposed to happen, you know, during her hibernation, but it would be cool to get this. We do see like 2 hibernation episodes technically, but it would be cool to see another episode in this style, because that was so much fun, them being in the snow. It's one of the few snow SpongeBob episodes. We got Mrs. Puff's boating schools. This boating school talks about the rules of the road. Mrs. Puff can watch her students through her one-way chalkboard, which is true. Yeah, we do have the one-way chalkboard. I forgot about that. So a little reminder on that fact. And then you have the school itself here. You know, the little driving course that SpongeBob fails every single time. You have SpongeBob here as the hall monitor. Very cool. And then only freaking boating school test that has a freaking jumping through a ring of fire here. But let's read this one here. It says testing time. SpongeBob's taken and failed his boating license test 38 times. He always aces the oral part. He knows the answers by heart. The bow, the stern, starboard, port, skipper, deck, cabin, galley, keel, and 1924.
It is starboard, port, skipper, deck, cabin, galley, keel, 1924. You've passed the oral test.
But when it comes to the driving part, SpongeBob gets nervous and crashes. And I think that's the part. It's like SpongeBob's not a bad driver. He just has terrible anxiety, which I think we can all relate to. He just gets like, what is it called? Like, he just freezes, you know? But he's actually probably a good driver. I mean, we can see it in a couple episodes when he drives a sandwich, you know? When he drives backwards, and he's like incredibly good at it because he gets rid of his fear. There's so many things. Jellyfish, this is an interesting one that actually refers to them as bees. It says underwater bees. Jellyfish are the bees of the underwater world. Bikini Bottom, they buzz around fields, live in hives, and sometimes sting. Maybe they also make a sweet... I guess that's true. Like, to be honest, besides the buzzing, I never really connected that they were supposed to be like the bees of the sea. But I guess that's true. They do live in those like beehive too. Like, and I just didn't think about the jelly fact of it too. They collect jelly, very similar to what a bee does with honey. Huh. And then as jellyfish, there's almost 99% water, man. That is crazy. 99%. Like, the fact that anything could be 99% of anything and still be a physical property, be a physical thing, is crazy. Jellyfish have been around for hundreds and millions of years. And then you got the king jellyfish over there as well. Okay, we are back here. We have Plankton here. So you have a really cool page of Plankton just doing a crazy evil laugh here. And it says, Plankton's analysis say he is 1% evil and 99% hot gas. It's got the chum time here. It's got the chum bucket. You have this really cool image of Plankton running over here. And the most iconic Plankton quote of all time. I went to college.
Now for my very elaborate and college-educated plan.
Cutting edge cookery. Plankton often relies on technology to carry out his evil schemes. He's invented mechanical legs for the Krabby Patty. For a Krabby Patty, he's attached a controller to SpongeBob's brain, and he's used robots several times as fake customers, as a fake Mr. Krabs, and a robo chef to hold SpongeBob's brain. Nothing worked. All the way from plan A to plan Z. Then we've got the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy page. And I think the best page, like the best section of this page here is, of course, getting to see Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy here. Superhero outfits, one size fits all. Crime fighting carpet slippers. Mermaid Man's legs aren't as athletic as they used to be. Mermaid is zooming in on his fist. It says Mermaid Man has been fighting crime for 65 years. Oh man. And Barnacle Boy is 68, so I think if he's been fighting for 65 years, that still makes him maybe 20 years older than Barnacle Boy, somewhere around there. We have the magic conch shell, which was almost won by Spring Boob Squarepants up there. But this page here I think is the coolest. You have their weapon wall here. This is all of the different gadgets that they use to take down all the different foes that they faced over the years. And until recently, we didn't know the names of any of these gadgets really. But in the recent video game tie-in that they did with I think it was Pressure Washer Simulator, you actually can see the names of all the different items on that wall. Okay, now we're on sports here, which is just a weird page in general. All of these are just like style guide images you have for like SpongeBob football clothing, SpongeBob skateboard clothing, or like, you know, binders or whatever, skiing. Almost none of these things do you see SpongeBob do in any episodes. The fact that they're tied in to the, I guess, the guide of things. I guess if they had these images, they were like, let's just use them. But none of this really ties into the show. I don't think we've ever seen SpongeBob play football, but I guess it ties into now that he hosts the Super Bowl. We have him doing this exercising here. SpongeBob could turn his body into a surfboard. I guess that's athletic. It talks about SpongeBob's jogging pants. It literally references these as SpongeBob's jogging pants. We have never seen these. And like that's, you can clearly see their jogging pants. Like, why does that have to be a fact? It's clear we've never seen that before in any episode. We've never seen him skiing. We've never seen him skateboarding. Yes, we've seen him do like shellboarding. We've seen him do like, you know, skiing on his tongue kind of. And he rides a single wheel, a unicycle. So it's so weird that they reference all these sports he doesn't do. But then the one that he does do, karate, is really cool. And it's interesting that they actually got this clip in here, because you notice in this early scene of SpongeBob and Sandy fighting, they're not wearing their protective headgear. And for those of you guys that are on my Whatnot stream, you guys will probably already know this, but the fighting gear that SpongeBob wears and Sandy, it's so iconic with their characters at this point. That was actually something that the higher ups, if you will, the corporate guys of Nickelodeon made Steven and the team decide that the characters had to wear. So if they were going to include fighting in the show in order to keep SpongeBob within like a certain age range, they were hoping for it to be able to hit still, they had to be wearing protective headgear and also like gloves of some kind. So he made these really cool and just awesome, almost like foam finger style protections for them. And I mean, it's pretty iconic, and it's kind of crazy to think that came from a corporate head. And then we've got the beach here, taking a break here. And I love this image of SpongeBob and Patrick laying back here. We got them in the hammocks. It says, "Do not disturb." Just a really cool one. You have them over there as like, you know, captain, kind of like a seaman type, you know, I would say like almost like yacht owners over there with their like drinks. Then the Soak It Up here. You know, all these things are just SpongeBob in his off time, I guess you would say, his leisure time. And then we've got the pesky pirates. You have all of them dressed up as pirates here. And then you've also got the Painty the Pirate here, where it gives you a breakdown of like exactly who Painty is, and then he shouldn't be confused with Patchy the Pirate. He's actually just his own character essentially, and he exists pretty much just to you know, sing the theme song for us. But I love the pirate costumes here. This is you know, you almost got like the Flying Dutchman Squidward here. It says Squidward finds it difficult to get into the pirate frame of mind, which I can see. But at the same time, I mean, he was the Flying Dutchman, you know, for that Halloween episode. So I think he could do it. Mr. Krabs taught SpongeBob to say "arg" like a real pirate instead of "okie dokie." There's some good ones in there. The pirates. Then we have the perfect pets here. So this is an interesting one. It talks about Gary kind of being like a feline, more like a cat than he is, you know, an actual snail. You got this episode, this sad episode where Squidward almost killed him. Squidward was taking care of Gary, thrilled to have 3 days without SpongeBob. Squidward spent the whole weekend bathing and forgot to... All about poor Gary. Luckily, Gary needed to recover with a spit. All Gary needed to recover was a spit of water. Yes, that's true. He was trying so hard to feed him everything. He literally had nothing to drink or eat for 3 days. That is crazy. Sorry, sip of water. I didn't know I said spit. But sip of water. SpongeBob once adopted a jellyfish. Yes, that is true. But it's cool that they actually reference Wormy and also all of Sandy's other forgotten pets. So Sandy has lots of pets. Birdie, Snakey, Wormy. When she left SpongeBob and Patrick in charge of them, the two friends especially loved playing with Wormy. And then it talks about, you know, kind of what happens with Wormy and, you know, that whole episode. But it's crazy that they actually reference all of Sandy's other pets, despite them never returning. Then we've got the beach here. And then we've got the freaking demigod, like, Larry the Lobster here with the sun on its back here, looking like Maui from freaking Moana. He looks so freaking just dope. And that's got to be, you know, one of the coolest shots there of Gary. You've got this vacation SpongeBob, which they use for so many promotions for different sweepstakes and stuff like that. You got lifeguard SpongeBob there with a little bit of the sunscreen on his nose. That's all you need. You got the Muscle Beach kind of parody here too. You can see Don the Whale and some of the other buff fish with those bubble butts. With a full body of porous holes, SpongeBob struggles to get an even tan. I mean, he got more tan than anybody at the sun bleach attempt. The sun bleach effect. So then after that, we've got the family values, and you get to see the other members of the different characters' families here. Plankton has relatives named Billy Bob, Billy Jim, Billy Billy, Billy Billy Bo Billy, Banana Fana, and Faux Philly. Yes, they should have had Plankton's family in here, but talks about Mama Krabs, how it's like she's basically just Mr. Krabs, but with glasses and a dress. And then, you know, her house is very similar to his, just being, you know, pink. And then we also have this one with both of Patrick's, or actually just have one of Patrick's parents here. You don't have the original Patrick's parents, which were not actually his parents. And then we got, of course, SpongeBob's parents, which everybody thinks are cookies. This one is freaking oatmeal and then freaking chocolate chip. And then we have the Flying Dutchman, but this is actually a bad guys page here. And they didn't really feature too many bad guys. They really featured Man Ray, the Flying Dutchman, and then also the Dirty Bubble, and a few of these, which are like, all three of these are shown in the exact same moment in the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode. And then also Frankendoodle. I guess we can count Frankendoodle, because he was not, they actually don't refer to him anywhere here as Doodle Bob. They just call him Frankendoodle, which is kind of crazy. That's just Frankendoodle. I'm trying to see here. I feel like, is there another Doodle Bob page? There was something that I passed too that I wanted to show you guys here. But let me see if I can find it here at all. This was what I thought was interesting, is that they referred to Larry here as Pet from Hell. They refer to hell in the SpongeBob, like you've never, I mean, you see Squidward go into hell when he says, I have no soul, but Pet from Hell is a crazy statement to put in a SpongeBob book. I felt like, I don't mind it, but it's interesting nonetheless. And then after that, like, so we have the family stuff, the villains. We have Frankendoodle, who's not referred to as Doodle Bob, weirdly enough, in this book. And then we have the party time here, which is all tied into the first SpongeBob special, which is SpongeBob's house party here. One of the most iconic episodes, just because it still has all of that first season charm to it. And at the same time, it's a special episode, and it's just such a cool, like, I don't know, just the vibe of the episode is so fun. You have his party schedule here, guest arrive, opening remarks and the general discussion, name tag distribution, begin the qualifying round for cracker eating / tongue twister contest. For cracker eating / tongue twisting contest. That sounds terrible. Running charades, charity apple bob. What is this? And then at 9:57 exactly, electric jitterbug dance marathon, ladies' choice, and the only lady there is Sandy, so Sandy's choice. And then things start cooking as SpongeBob dips into his world of famous knock-knock jokes. That is awesome, man. And then we have the last page here, which is just kind of looks like a note, kind of kind of taped onto the wall of the Krusty Krab there, and then also hooked to as well. And it has, you know, everybody that was involved in making the book. You can see it's a first American edition print here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And in the back of the book here, you got a couple more characters feature that you see throughout the book. It looks like the tag unfortunately came off on this one. I think there's another one on the inside, hopefully. Dive into the watery world of SpongeBob SquarePants and find all that you need to know about the sea's most lovable sponge. I mean, I feel like that's not all you need to know, but it's a start. The SpongeBob Essential Guide. What we will be taking a look at next time, though, is the actual the SpongeBob SquarePants experience, which basically does what this book does times a million, and you get so much more detail about the world of SpongeBob than you would ever get from this book. This is a very like surface level kind of for kids, just to kind of like, okay, I've seen a couple episodes of the show, this kind of gives me all I need to know. It makes you a little bit more interested, and you know, seeing the show itself and maybe becoming a bigger fan of it. I loved books like these as a kid. I had them for a few different shows, but yeah, I just want to share this SpongeBob one with you guys. I hope you guys loved this little, you know, kind of commentary video. Nothing too crazy. I don't ever upload over here, so I figure if I do, let's just make them like one cut, you know, kind of things, like, you know, or very minimal editing, so I can get some stuff out there. And then every now and then maybe I'll drop some more like highly edited stuff, but at least so you have some more content out there, just kind of hearing me, you know, waffle on about, you know, SpongeBob and other different collectibles that we have in the collection here. And, you know, I was looking through the book and I just had so many thoughts in my head, and I was like, you know what, let's turn the camera on. So if you guys enjoyed it, hit the like button. Would greatly appreciate it. If you guys want to support this show and help me make more videos and keep more content coming to you guys, go check out our Patreon. You get extended versions of every single video that we upload here. Or you get extended versions of every video I upload on my main channel, Comfort Cartoons, which is every other day. So you get a lot more content that way. And you also get early release, ad-free videos, and it helps keep all these videos coming for you guys, ultimately. And keeps us sailing across the Bikini Bottom seas, as I always say. So go check that out. You can also go check out my Whatnot streams. Whenever I pick up anything on, you know, in terms of SpongeBob in my collection videos, I always bring my doubles or anything like that, and I give them away, or I sell them on my Whatnot streams. So go check them out if you're a big SpongeBob fan, or just a nostalgia fan in general, because we have all types of stuff over there. Disney, Cartoon Network, you know, pretty much everything. And yeah, go ahead and check out the video on your screen here, which is I don't know, something cool, I assure you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios and bloop.